Hey, what's up, guys? It's Mr. Joshua with another custom Gundam review. So it's been a while since I've done my last Gundam review. It's been about since like November or so, give or take. And so now it's January of 2020, pushing February. So I thought I would show you guys one of the current projects that I am working on right now. This project is called the Perfect Zeong msia figure. Unfortunately, they never released the Perfect Zeon, and if they did, it would have been so fucking awesome. I'm just surprised that they've never released one. Unfortunately, the closest that we ever got to a Perfect Zeon figure was minus, well, besides the model kits, they actually had one that was Zeonography. I try to get my hands on one of those a couple of times, and they're too much fucking money, Too much money for the Perfect Zeon, for the Zeonography. People want between 100 and 200 bucks, and for me just to have the legs, I just thought wasn't worth it to me at all, when I could make one myself. And here's what I've been doing so far. A while back ago, I think back in August of last year, I actually had a buddy who traded me one of the arch nemesis Gelgugs. And the cool thing about the arch nemesis Gelgugs is that their legs, you can actually use them to make the Perfect Zeong with the proper modifications and whatnot. As you can see before you, this is what I've been doing so far. I have one leg that's actually attached, which is pretty cool. It moves back and forth. And the cool thing is I didn't have to remove this part at all. And that was a really big, important part to me. I didn't want to sit there and completely modify the thing to the point where the big giant boosters and legs weren't universal. I wanted to make I wanted to make the figures so it can either have the big boosters or the feet. And so what I did right here, as you can see in there, that there's originally a gap, a big giant gap in there. And so what I did is I filled that gap up with resin. And then last night I finally got back to this project after I was done, doing a massive cleaning over my garage. And for shits and giggles, I put a big giant joint hole in there and slapped it on there, and there we go. Now, it works very, very well. I really like the way that it came out. And the reason why he doesn't have the second leg on right now is because when I last left on this figure, I was molding the legs, so that way I can basically mass produce the Perfect Zeon legs. It is either that or keep on spending 30 bucks per arch nemesis figure and just keep modifying. It just wasn't worth it to me. And this way is much more cheaper and, in my opinion, more efficient. And the only problem is that when you're doing the resin cast, you have to figure out a way to get joints and ball joints, which luckily for me, I have a bunch of leftover ball joints and such too, so I'm not really too worried about that. And here's the other part of the leg. This is the other leg that I modified and molded. As you can see back in here, the mold was torn off during the process of molding, which is a little difficult to get out. I haven't had a chance to take it out yet. It's been months, by the way. It's been almost half a year, give or take. But yeah, it's stuck in there pretty good. Eventually I can get it out. It's pretty easy, but it's going to be a bitch to get it out. And another thing I was doing too is I was doing a test on the paint. Right here, I was using Tester's paint gray, and I just wanted to see if the paint would actually dry and cure and not stick or anything. And ironically, it's not sticking. It's pretty shiny, which is good. It's almost the same gray as the actual zeong, so that's good. And again, it's not sticky at all. It's, you know, nice and slick. Nothing. I like it. And one of the reasons why I haven't completed the molds yet is because I just really haven't had enough money to complete the molds. As you see right here, this is one of the molds that I was working on for the perfect zeong. I believe that this is which part is this? I want to say that this is actually the thigh. And as you can see, the reason why I haven't taken it out yet is because there's a little piece right here that's, you know, gently sticking out. And it's not to the point where it's actually punctured through or anything like that. But I really don't want to risk it. You know, I really don't want to risk using this the way it is right now, because eventually, you know, it will burst, you know, through the mold. And I really can't have that, because after you puncture a hole in the bottom of the mold, there really isn't any way to repair it unless you want to spend some money and basically, you know, jury rig like half a circle around like you see here and just, you know, refill it with silicone. And even then, if you do something like that, you're going to have to find out a way to make it so that the mold won't sink through the hole and just mess your whole entire mold up in general. But it's pretty fucking heavy. It's a very heavy mold. I'd call it at least a good, you know, pound or two. And it's kind of funny because it's, you know, ridiculous that I'm, you know, wasting all this time and money and mold just so I can mass produce these legs. But it's worth it though. I know there's a bunch of people out there who want these legs, and they're, you know, they're totally worth having, in my opinion, you know. And having a perfect zeong in my collection would just be fucking awesome, you know. I actually have two of these zeongs. The second zeong that I have, it's going to have the resin cast legs. And with the second zeong that I have, it's going to be like a battle scarred version, you know. It's going to be pretty fucking sweet. So, you know, if I can get some extra money, I can very well, you know, make a couple more molds and, you know, start mass producing the figure. And another thing too, the last time I tried to mold this foot right here, I don't really know what happened, but when I was trying to mold it, the actual, you know, foot, somehow it disconnected from the little pegs I had on the foot. And about an hour or so into its curing time, it slowly floated all the way to the surface of the mold, because the mold was still, you know, soft and, you know, liquid. I was so fucking pissed. So what I'm going to have to end up doing with this foot is I'm going to have to somehow figure out a way to open it up and weigh it down some. You know, so that way it'll be much more easier for me to, you know, mold it, because every single time I tried to mold this fucking foot, it would just loosen up and, you know, do its thing. And I'm pretty sure the screws are here and right here too, so I'm gonna try to disconnect it and see what happens and hope for the best. But yeah, that's all that I have for this figure. And as you can see, it's going to be fucking tall. It's going to be giant. And it's going to be pretty sexy. I'm really enjoying the way that it's coming out. And this figure would have already been completed if, you know, I didn't decide to, you know, take one foot apart and, you know, well, one leg apart and, you know, mold everything. I have the mold for this. But I need to take this leg apart and do the mold for the thigh. Specifically because, you know, I can't do, you know, the same mold for the thigh because they're just completely different. I can get away with doing, you know, one mold for this foot right here because both feet are exactly the same. And I'm pretty sure I can get away with doing one mold for the leg. Not too sure. I want to say that I can, but I could possibly be wrong. I don't know if my eyesight is wrong, is a little, you know, off, but looks pretty even. Actually, this part looks a little bit longer than this side. But, you know, to save time and to save money for myself, I can, you know, always take the mold and kind of trim this up on one side, you know. But we'll see what happens in the future. Definitely. Dude, he's gonna be so tall. Really good articulation. I like that. He's gonna be a beast when he's done, let me tell you. He's gonna be fucking awesome. But yeah, that's all I have for this video. And if you guys like my videos, please like and subscribe. And happy Wednesday, and thanks for watching.